Welcome back to the Scoop here on the VET S.O.S podcast. And today we have a treat. Lo and behold, this is going to be the Scott and Scott show for the next X amount of minutes, because this Scott I have over here, he is the leader, the point person of the military effect campaign. He's even the author of the military effect, but y'all can catch him on Amazon. We're going to talk a lot about it later today. But Scott Manthorne, he's not just a name, he's a force, okay? Y'all don't recognize him now, but y'all got to recognize him after this podcast. A globally recognized networking strategist and founder of the Inside Circle, Scott has generated over 500 million, that's AKA $500 million in global sales through his powerful relationship first strategies. He's the author of The Military Effect, a transformative book within the Effect series that unlocks the unmatched power of connection, leadership, and legacy, especially within the veteran community. His work doesn't just create opportunities, it ignites impact. He's not a veteran. He's a veteran supporter. He's a veteran advocate. And he's here sitting on the stoop about to get the scoop about the military effect campaign that he started that's going to be running all year long. It's our turn to serve. And what it truly means to lead from the inside out. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I know this is what y'all been waiting for. We have him here, y'all. And he is here. He's going to share some information about the military effect and how did we get started. So, Scott, welcome to the Scoop, boss. How we doing today?
Welcome. Great. Thank you for having me. Exciting times.
So, I really want to, one of the questions that, you know, the acquired minds and the readers and the listeners and the viewers want to know is, what's the scoop on you? Like, what made you start the military effect campaign? And who is Scott? Like I got the scoop on you. We just had a nice, intimate conversation, but I know the others, they want to get the scoop on Scott too.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I still don't know what started this journey. You know, I come from a non-military family. I didn't have much interaction within the veteran community most of my life. I'd come off my first book and was looking for where I was supposed to be next. And lo and behold, I talked to an old fraternity brother who's now the mayor of Hermosa Beach. He was JAG Corps. And another friend of mine who's a P3 pilot, she's P3 crew. And I said, is there something here? Like, I don't understand this military universe. And they said, there's so much that you don't know. And that was the beginning of the journey to go and meet these 50 men and women who I eventually interviewed and put into the book to share their stories.
Wow. So when you had the conversation and that intrigued you, right? Because when we was talking a little bit earlier, you said is one veteran to 9 civilians. Like, you know, because I was sharing my story, it's like it is very, the veteran community is very small. But you said, how can I contribute? Definitely when you gather these fine individuals to put inside the book, The Military Effect, was there a defining moment that pushed you to share their stories?
You know, I really don't know. All I know is that when I met the first one, it led to the next one and the next one and the next one, right? And civilians don't have respect per se in the veteran community, nor should they, because they don't understand what it's all about. So I was very amazed at how quickly I was welcomed in and how quickly these men and women started to share very intimate details about the challenges of their life. And I just knew that it was an opportunity, but I think also a calling to give them a voice, to help them craft their story in a way that would resonate with a wider audience, which is why the book is not about 50 of the best known veterans. It's a story of 50 regular men and women
Right.
from 5 of the 6 branches. And I think I enjoy that the most, because when it's handed to a veteran or an active duty service, then they look like, wow, I can resonate with many of these stories, because it's not that pie
Right.
in the sky person they see on the pedestal, or that media personality, or that movie personality, whatever. It's just a regular man, a regular woman who went in and came out.
And contribute to the community, to the veteran community. One of the things that you did in your journey, your life journey, is you generated over 500 million. I call it, I like to say a half a billion. That just sound that give it that extra punch. People say, "Hey, how long you did in the military?" I tell them 2 decades. They like 2 decades. I think, well, why you don't just say 20 years? No, 2 decades sound better to me, right? So, a half a billion in global sales through connection. What's the real secret? If you want to call it a secret, but to that kind of success, because that's not a small feat to do.
I think diversity
Mhm.
of where I connect and who I connect with. And you have to understand that if you're involved around real estate deals or
Right,
big purchase engines, I mean, these numbers catch up quickly. So,
right.
yeah, it's a big number, but no, it's not a big number. Um, and it's also over a course of a number of years. But that doesn't mean anything to me. I mean, my relationship capital means everything to me. The rest of it is transactions.
One of the transactions I like to talk about is the inside circle. Very
So, okay.
exclusive to you
Well, the
and
inside
critical.
circle, and everyone has one of these
Mhm.
in their life. This is just a defined way for me to network in business.
Right,
And it was very helpful in some of the elements of creating the military effect. And now it's very helpful in the next step, right? The stories have been
right.
told, and most of the audience so far has been internal. So the book has been received mostly by the active duty service veteran and spouse community, as it should. But now it needs to turn out to the 9 out of 10, to that civilian side of the universe. And you need that inside circle. I need those relationships to start to push this out further.
One of the things to lead this from the front is to have that leadership, and definitely from that business standpoint, and to connect it to the veteran community, saying that your service is needed and wanted on the other side after you finish completing your service.
Well, one of the things I learned writing this book is that a man or woman who chooses to serve for the country never
Mm,
stops serving the country. They just change
right,
their uniform. Didn't understand that. And so I didn't understand the words behind thank you for your service. I didn't know what it meant. Now I know what it means. And I
right.
also know that, just like you and I shared off camera, the journey for you never ends. Just because you had 20 years and 6 months on record in a branch has nothing to do with the journey that you'll have for the rest of your life, which is however many more years you're with us. Now
Right.
you're still committed and connected to the branch. You always will be. So you're always going to serve. And civilians need to understand that the fabric of this country is not just held together by the active duty service and veteran and protected by it, but I mean, it's the whole reason that we're here,
Right.
you know. And these men and women in the nuclear family, the brothers, the sisters, the uncles, the aunts,
Mhm.
everyone that's around it, that's the real part of this country. It's not the Starbucks drinking, Tesla driving, you know, luxury home buying, whatever lifestyle.
Right.
That's not the United States. That's a byproduct of what you did and what you do, and which
Right,
you
and we
probably don't care two hoo-hoos about.
you're right. The military effect. So you have the effects here, but the military effect. What you had to come up with a cover for the book, right? I'm looking at it right now. It has the flag, red, white, and blue, and then just across the bottom, the military effect.
It's interesting because that's 3 different photos that came
Oh
together as
wow!
one. And then, of course, we did what we had to protect it legally.
Right.
But it's its own unique cover, which is a great cover. I really like the cover of that book, and I really like the website that this community sits on, which is themilitaryeffect.com, because it's there where people can go and read about the 50 men and women in the book. Okay, I'm not here for me. I'm here for them. Okay, I am not the important part of this conversation. It's the 50 men and women that are. I'm the vessel. I'm the barker, right? I'm the conduit. That's it. Okay. Hopefully, other civilians will see me and maybe up their game or start from scratch and start to integrate more into the community. And that's why this public facing campaign is coming out. It's our turn to serve, because more active duty service veterans, spouses, they need to see the civilians doing more. If they see the civilians doing more, they feel better, they operate better, they resonate better, they deliver better, they live better. It's a two-way street. Just show me some love, is what your veterans are saying, and the return will be unmeasurable.
Yes. Return will be unmeasurable. And when I so I was going through the book, I said, because I like to go through the book and pull out like quotes that resonate with me or stuff that's in the book that resonate with me. And I challenge everybody, no matter what book you get, go through it first and see. This how I was told, because I told you after I had my uh my my stints, I had to find new ways of trying to remember things, trying to connect with things. So when this stuff I go through, I kind of do a book skim first, and then I highlight the parts that stand out to me. So one of the things that I seen in the book, it was the most powerful weapon is your arsenal is connection. That was written in the book by one of the contributors. And by you being here on the Scoop VET S.O.S podcast is the power of connection. And I was the lucky one to get to interview a lot of contributors and people that's in the book for the military effect. I say, wow. And you know what they said after we got off the conversation, Scott?
Mm-mm.
They said, let's connect. Let's connect. So this is what your book is doing, right? And this is just coming from one individual. But imagine how many other connections are being built out there. The military effect.
Yeah, it's pretty neat to watch it. One of our authors came out of the Navy, Gene Moran, and Gene actually interviewed 35 of our authors on his podcast. So Gene did 25-minute interviews, and it was very interesting to listen to them, right? Because I listened to every one of them afterwards. I'm like, wow, that's a cool story. Like, sometimes you can't remember the 78,000 words you wrote. So
Right.
sometimes you hear it again. It's like, that's a great story. But there are a lot of connections, partnerships, hires, friendships. So many things have come out of this. I've been lucky enough to meet 39 of my authors personally. I've driven almost 17,000 miles to sit down with them and break bread and talk shop, and that was the neatest part of my journey so far, was just to walk the ranch with them or sit down at Cracker Barrel or um, they have so many stories of meeting every one of them. It's so cool to do that.
It's that's huge. One of the takeaways I got from the book was veterans don't need a handout; they need a handshake. And the story I shared with you, remember I said I started as an unpaid intern, right? I don't want you. I come in at the ground level. That's okay, but for a non-veteran, for a like you talk about a civilian that has no military connection, took a chance on me. And that right there would resonated with me so much. Veterans don't need a handout. They need a handshake.
Yeah, is that true? Um, and you have to become human again because
Right.
in order for you to survive in the role you had, you're mechanical. I mean, you have to re-engineer into a human being at age whatever, 35, 45, whatever the age is coming out. So, so they need a handshake or a hug, whatever works for
Yeah.
them, right? Like, let's
Right.
humanize what's happening now because it doesn't matter on the outside what's going on with anybody. You know that,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's what's going on the inside, right?
Right.
And so I I see a lot of men and women who served, and some I even talked to that are not quite out, and they're deer in the headlights. They are scared to death of
Yes.
the unknown. They're not hearing enough success stories of who's in front of them. They don't have a network or a community outside of their branch. And unless they're going into a government role or a veteran specific type of company, they're going to be forced to start over again.
Yeah.
That's not easy. So
Yeah.
civilians can do a lot. This is the VFW was great, right, for years, but the VFW was also really an extension of your service model
Right.
because for a long time civilians wouldn't even go into VFWs. Now they're a little bit more flexible where you can enter those modes, but there are not enough interaction engines still for the veteran to come out into the civilian community. It's not a job fair. That is not what I'm talking about. Okay. It needs to be more interactive, which is funny because I'll bring this up on the screen. So I just wrote this book, right?
Oh wow.
And so this book's bigger than the other one. And
Oh
I
wow.
interviewed 3 veterans in that book, right? And this is a silly game that's giving veterans an opportunity to integrate into the civilian space and start to converse at their speed, right? Around the silly plastic ball. But it's also
Right.
helping men and women who are adapting, who have lost limbs or have had, horrific challenges physically. It's giving them a chance to re-engineer themselves in a competitive way. And there's so many things about this book. In fact, I have a retired Army that's in it, and he was doing rehab. He was on the rehab roundtable
Wow.
like you, man. He's in, he's out. He's in, he's out. He's in, he's out.
Right.
His fourth time in, he hears that bouncing ball. Dink, dink, dink. He's like, the heck's that? He got hooked to pickleball. Now he's the top
There it
influencer
is.
on Instagram for pickleball as a
No
army
way.
veteran,
Wow.
and he doesn't hide it. He's got a big old belly. He's got tats. He often does videos with no shirt on. You know, he's 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 very tongue in cheek, and people are loving him for it. And he's got a career that came out of the silly game that he found while he's in rehab.
Wow. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. One thing that also highlighted, the currency of trust buys more than any resume ever will. I shared you my story, and I'm sure, like you said, you interviewed a lot of people for the book. You spoke to a lot of veterans, and I know that one thing goes a long way is trust.
Yeah, I mean, respect is typically given pretty quickly, right? you're gonna share and square with somebody, and you're gonna watch what's going on in front of them, right? But the trust is an unbelievable element, and I was really blown away by how quickly every single one of these men and women trusted me to tell their story and then to write it and publish it,
Yeah.
right? And that's huge, right? And I've become very close friends with them. You know, people always ask me, they go, "What was the experience like?" And I said, "Well, when was the last time you know anybody that got 50 new friends in a year?
Right.
Not just
Some
any
people
kind of
can't
friends.
enlist 5. Right.
These are 50 men and women who serve the country, right? And they're friends." I'm like, "That is crazy," you know? And I've been to a wedding of one of our authors, and I've been to the houses of authors, and I've been like, you know, I've spent time with a lot of them, and we're done business together, and we're friends, you know? And that's such a humbling experience to just be there with another man and a woman, just to be there as a person for them.
And that goes right into saying lead with value, not ego.
Absolutely.
That's
I
how
mean, again,
moments start.
I know we're crisscrossing the value proposition of service and, you know, camaraderie and entrepreneurship and all of those things. Um, again, the veterans are so well positioned to do whatever they choose. If they want to lead, they're more than capable of leading. If they want to follow, they're more than capable of following, right? They can also be inspirations to leaders. They've played all these roles usually in their journey in service. So they come out with all of these different perspectives and all these different capabilities, and often they can choose where they want to be. Again, I see a lot all the way up to the 4-star level that are still looking for someone to show them the way, because that's the normalcy of being served. You know, in service, you always have a hierarchy. There's always someone
Right.
above you,
Yeah,
right?
right. Yes.
And when you leave that, and now there's no one above you, you're like, wait a second, I'm at the top.
Yeah.
Well, what the?
Uh, right. what what now?
So
What do I do? Yeah. Where to
there's
go?
nothing wrong with that. We're all looking for that. You know, people talk about mentors. Do you not think that I have mentors? Of course I do. Everyone has mentors, right? You can call it a leader if you want. Call them whatever you want. We're guiding each other
Right.
in a direction, right? Leading each other, valuing, right? Respecting, trusting. And that's one of the greatest gifts of the military branch back to the country, are these men and women that walk out the door with this amazing set of things: leadership, trust, camaraderie, teamwork, honor, you know, all these
Yes.
things. Like, you're the best of the best. And again, people will say, well, you know, PTSD and suicide issues. And I'm like, so what? Everybody has
Right.
baggage.
Right.
You think the civilian population is not any more messed up than the veteran population? Have you seen what's happened since COVID? Please.
Yeah. We're
We're all
just a
train
small
wrecks.
portion. Right.
We're all train
right.
wrecks. So put your arm around someone else and let's train wreck together.
Right. Right. This is and this is why I love this campaign right here. This is why, because and this is just this speaking, this Scott speaking. It's more for me. I say it's more than the military effect, right? It's you get this book, you can relate it to life, right? And some of these quotes I took directly from the book. So I just, like I said, I put it on my little paper, and I was like, man, I'm want to share with Scott. With I don't know if you, um, I know when I say something like, oh yeah, I remember seeing that in the book, or yeah, I did interview that person. They did say that, but these things is what resonated with me, and I know for a fact, like that's hard to say. What I can say is when I read through it, I seen me in the book, and I didn't know
Exactly.
you until today.
And that was the hope of all of this, was to have the diversity of service and story, so that there were multiple places where you're like, been there, done that,
Yeah.
right? And again, people might say, well, what's the book about? Well, the book is about 50 men and women and their journey from choice of
Right.
service to choice of transition. And everything in between is unique to them. But,
Right. Yes.
it's not rainbows and unicorns, but it's also not, darkness and doom. It's kind of a mixture of everything, while trying to, draw a good light on the possibilities. Because you want a young, a high schooler to consume the somehow audio somehow and say, oh, I want to serve. Or you want a civilian to read this and go, oh, now I understand, you know, Tyler Van Hook better
Right.
than I would have otherwise, right? Because you can read about who they were and who they are,
Yes.
And I've never looked at any of my authors as anything but people.
Right.
Okay. And I only noticed that I was in a military universe when I was at AUSA, the Association of the U.S. Army, and I'm inside this giant conference in DC, and there's uniforms everywhere. And I go into a breakout room and I walk into one of them, and there's retired Brigadier General Ann McDonald's in there, who's one of my endorsers. And
Wow.
there's all this pomp and circumstance in the room, and she turns around, we beeline to each other and hug. No one else would even dare do it, right?
Right.
And then I had another brigadier general in there, and there were like 2, 3, 4 circles around him to get to him. And he sees me, sees
And just
Part, walk up,
beelines.
give him a high five, belly butt, right? It's like, so then you realize you're a civilian and you realize
Right.
where you are,
Man, Scott,
right?
I tell you, I, you heard I shared my, and that was just a cliff notes. That was just the cliff notes of Kings, but I wanted to share with the audience and the listeners these 20 quotes I pulled from Scott. I call it Scott collection, right? Because I don't know if y'all realize what he said earlier. He said he had basically had to get the permission to publish these interviews, and a couple of them did not want it published, because I read some of them was very hesitant, because like I shared with you guys, like, we didn't want it to be used as negative, right? Sometimes people use it for, oh, hey man, this person was this or this person was that. Oh wow, they went through that, or I have something on you, but you it's a form of healing. That's how I seen it. What I went through is a form. I could just talk for me, right? It's a form of healing. And these, so I'm just gonna go through the posts that I took away from the book, if you don't mind, and I'll
Oh.
share so others know that if the military affect me, I'm sure once you pick up a copy of the book, you'll go through it and you'll see, like Scott said, it's not about if you served or not. It's about being a human being.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is a train wreck. Scott said it. I'm like, yeah, that's true. Everybody has trauma. Everybody goes. It's to them how they're trying this situation to them. Nobody is over the other one. Everybody has their journey that matters to them. So here are my highlights I took away from the book. I said this earlier. The most powerful weapon is your arsenal is connection. You don't have to serve forever to serve with impact. And Scott, now I want to read the stuff that and let me know if this aligns with our conversation before I hit the record button. Veterans, I said this earlier, veterans don't need a handout, they need a handshake. Networks don't just support your business, they define your legacy. Inside every veteran is a CEO waiting to be activated. The military taught you discipline, now use it to dominate. There's a difference between followers and those who follow through. The currency, I talked about this earlier, the currency of trust buys more than any resume will. Lead with value, not with ego. That's how movements start. And that's about the military effect right there. That's how I had to double highlight that. Next one, don't wait for opportunity. Build a circle that creates them. Your rank didn't define you, your relationships did. You can either network with intention or wander in isolation. Legacy isn't built in silence, it's built in service. The real inside job is learning to lead yourself first. No one forgets who opened the door for them. Success isn't a solo mission, it's a squad effort. Every room you enter is a mission, execute accordingly. Veterans aren't looking for charity, they're looking for a challenge. Mentorship is a multiplier of military transition. And the last one I took away from the book, and there's more in there, but these are my highlights that's aligned with what you and I talked about earlier, Scott. Impact happens at the intersection of story and strategy.
That's
That
awesome.
conversation we had earlier, did that not align with every single one I shared with you?
Yeah, it did. It really did. It's cool to hear all those come at me, and I'm guessing who some of them are, and I know who some of them are. But I want to share this too. Those 50 stories, while I listened and I kind of transcribed, I worked with each author individually to finish the story.
Mm,
So they're actually authors themselves of their story,
wow.
right? It wasn't me taking something and saying, "Here you go, give me an initial." No, we worked on these stories together. So it was exactly what they wanted to go out. And that's hopefully what I do is I listen. Sometimes I'll wordsmith, but it's based on the perception, it's based on the conversation, the emotional string. But if it was Mace Curran or Neil Conlon or Tammy Laird or Diana Villa or Brendan Aronson or any of these people in the book, every story, they participate in the creation of the story because it's their story.
Yeah. And I didn't know about the military effect book until Sean Welsh, the founder of VET S.O.S podcast, like, hey, do you want to interview? I said, yeah, I didn't even let him finish. But look where it led me to. This is part of, I could say this is part of my healing process right here, Scott. And just imagine how many others is healing, because I thought it was just me in the fight by myself. When I went through that book, I was like, it's not just me. It's others going through the same thing. I need to start reaching out or being vulnerable to a point where I'm comfortable to share, because others are doing that same thing, and I'm sure it's helping them in their healing process.
Yeah, I think everything you say is correct. And it's just part of the journey that we have together. I knew early on that this book would have a long tail to it, meaning I knew the effect of this book was and is going to take time, which is fine, right? Like we
Right,
don't want it to pop and drop. Like
right, right,
we we want it to stair step up a little bit over time, and the stories are timeless.
right.
They're timeless, right? And whatever comes of this, if it gives one more man or woman who's transitioning or transitioned hope, that's awesome. And if it gives one more man or woman who's a civilian understanding, that's awesome. Right? And as an advocate, my base goal in the world is to be there for these 50 men and women, and now it's 49. We lost one last year, but I want to be there for these men and women. And if I could show another civilian to do the same thing and the same thing and the same thing, then the numbers will multiply to where there's plenty of help for everybody. But I'm not
Speaking
thinking
of help,
past these 50. I'm just not.
right, right.
Right?
It's your assistance right there. That 50 will multiply. It's already
Yeah.
multiplied by one right here. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like,
It's very interesting because I have second and third level relationships in the veteran community because of the book already. I have another 4-star I know, retired, who plays pickleball. That's how we got to know each other. And, there's only 250 or 300 living 4-stars in the country. I mean, it's not like there's a whole bunch of them. So
wow.
he's in rarefied air. But to me, he's a pickleball player.
Right.
Right? And right, wrong, or indifferent, okay? Civilians generally have absolutely zero idea of any rank in any branch except general, because I've heard that one enough times.
Right.
Anything else, commission, non-commission, you might as well stop talking. They do not know what you're talking about.
Right.
Okay? And the problem with these branches is that each has variations of rank that are different from the other ones.
Yes.
It's like, oh my God, like I'm not going to school trying to figure out where you were in this thing. And then you can have
Right.
08, E6. I'm like, oh, God's
Right.
sakes, is this Scrabble? Like, what's going on here? Okay. All I want to know is, give me an idea. I served 18 years. Great. That's good enough. I
Right.
don't need to know anything else. Right? Okay. Because I'm not going to remember it.
Right. It's so funny, Scott, because people, so I'm back home. So when I came out, people like, oh man, so you was in the Air Force? Yeah. So what kind of planes did you fly? I'm like, you was in the Air Force, so you flew planes, right? I'm like, no, I was in law enforcement. He's like, no, but you was in the Air Force, you fly. So like you said, people just don't understand. So like you said, I just did 20 years in the military. Oh, okay. Okay. That, kind of simplify it.
There's a woman in my book named Larissa Harrington, and Larissa was in the CIA, right? And she was a Turkish linguist for a good portion of her career, right? No one will remember almost anything she said except CIA. Whoa, you were the CIA, right? And if you meet her now, you would have absolutely zero idea of where she was 6 years ago. Like, you were in that building? Mm-hmm. Like, no, she's just a track mom.
Right.
And that's okay. We all have things that are behind us that make us what we are now. I don't have a problem with anyone saying I'm a veteran and I'm proud, but I do have a problem with them saying I'm a veteran and that's all I am. And if that's what you're thinking, you're in deep doo-doo. You need to be fully comprehensive and inclusive as a human being coming back into this world. Be proud that you're a veteran, but that's not who you are. That's a part of who you are. Don't let that
be your identity, right? Don't let that be your sole
right?
identity. Yeah.
Because it will not enable. It will cause civilians to think of things like Stripes and Rambo and Apocalypse Now and whatever their relatable movie is with a few good men, right? Like, they're just off to the races. They get no idea that, that King Scott is a cyber expert because you lost them. When you said this other thing, they're gone and they're thinking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and God knows what. It's like, talk
100%.
now. Compartmentalize when you get to, bring it up front when you need to. Otherwise, do what you need to do.
Right, man. So how can they support the Military Effect campaign? How can they reach out? All right, I've been telling people like, hey, go on Amazon to get the book. Just type in the Military Effect and you'll book and it'll pop up. It's right there on
However
Amazon.
they want to grab it, they can grab it. The Effect series is all the books, and that will house everything from here on out. So the Effect series will share more information about the book itself. Don't care where they buy it. Don't care where they listen to it. It's on 60 Audible channels. I have an Emmy award-winning voice that recorded it. He did Grapes of Wrath and a number of other books, so he's a cool person to listen to for the audio. So you can get on Spotify, iTunes, Audible,
Awesome.
all those things, right? But at this point in time, we want to start to highlight these organizations that you've started to talk to, because that will raise the water in groups, in communities and tribes, right? And bring to light some of the things that these men and women are facing in the real world, like we all are. So I think if you can rise all ships, right,
Yes.
then things move better. And it's never going to be about the one. It's going to be about the community, right?
Right.
It's our turn to serve. That's going to capture the family of veterans. That's going to capture a veteran. That's going to capture anybody, And I don't think that we're in a bad place necessarily in the world. I just think that there's some distractions that could be refocused. Okay. But I'm not here to change the world, man. I'm here to change one person.
Right.
Right.
If there's some companies that's looking to connect or actually contribute or be a part of the ongoing campaign, because it's not just gonna stop here, right? It's going like how, because I know they're gonna come across the podcast, right? Because it just so happens when the algorithm starts to pick up, like, oh wow, like let me reach out to Scott to see how can I be a part of this, because this is great.
We're bringing more social media muscle here. We're going to bring these organizations to the forefront, whether it's through your podcast or through press or through the website, and click in with what resonates. These are very diverse groups. You've interviewed several of them. They have diverse focus areas, right? The Sisters in Service and, 4 Block, right? And Folds of Honor. Everything's so very different. So find what resonates and connect to them. They don't need to go through us. Just get to them. And they'll find ways by listening to the interviews or by going to the website or by seeing the press. They'll be able to get to these entities, right? We're the vessels, right? King Scott, we're the people that are letting them know the direction. Go that way,
Man,
right?
this is
And
great.
and if you can focus on pulling people up the hill instead of focusing on the peak, you're gonna have a better journey.
Right.
So it's never gonna be about me. I do not care about being in the front of anything. All right. It's not that doesn't do anything for me. I was talking to one of our authors today, and she's at a point where it's not just the civilian access that she needs more of. She needs to understand a little bit more about how the business world is moving forward with technology and other things. The shifting landscape that these veterans are facing when they come out. And a lot of us, like you're doing in cyber, we're just trying to keep up. And we're actually we're the ones on the forefront, and we're trying to keep
Right.
up. Can you imagine everyone behind us? It's like, you understand, like I'm breaking the front of this with Chad and Grok and Gemini and all these things, and there's people behind me. They're like,
What's that?
"What? What is that?" I'm
Yeah,
like,
what's
"Oh
that?
my God."
Yeah,
So,
right. Yeah.
so we just have to continue to be inclusive of everyone and not fight what can't be fought. You can't change this giant behemoth engine of transition. You can change one thing at a time, one person at a time.
Focus on the
And
one.
my hope is that off of this podcast, we bring your supreme engine of enthusiasm out to the mainstream, because I think that there's not enough people watching veteran podcasts outside of the veteran community. So I made a note here to get you over to the other side of the equation where I can bring you into the mainstream so that they can see what you're all about, right? Because that's another way that we can compress this challenge between
Right.
the communities.
That'd be awesome.
So that's coming along, right? And
Man, I
eventually
appreciate it.
your story will be told more as people can handle it, because you're a double-sized latte of chaos and fun, and people ain't gonna drink all that in one sitting, so they need to take you a little at a time.
Right, yeah, yeah, little doses, that's it, little shots, that's it.
Right? I'm just gonna give you a little espresso at King Scott over here. You can't take the whole thing.
Man, I appreciate that. I appreciate you taking the time out, one, to put this campaign together, two, to come out and share the reason why it's going forward. So thank you for being part of the solution.
Thank you for letting me be part of the community that I did not, I would say, serve, but um, it's been an interesting journey of 5,000 hours or so to this point in time of hopefully understanding. And I'm honored by you, my friend. I'm honored that we get to share some time, and I hope you get off this call and go do a little wrestling or something with the family, and get back to what makes your vibration maintain its highest level, because
That
the world
430
needs.
was it 432 hertz? I got to
Yeah,
go look at my hertz
yeah,
chart. I got to get to
yeah.
that high.
Well, the world needs more of you. So tell them to get ready, because here you come.
I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. Remember, you do not have to drown in the sea of transition. You grab that VET S.O.S Lifeline. We're here to help. The military effect is going strong, everybody. Scott and his team is leading the front. And don't worry, this is not the end. This is only the beginning. So grab hold of the military effect, grab hold of the book, reach out to Scott and his team, and connect everybody that I'm conversating with about the military effect. Each organization has their piece of the pie, their part of the puzzle. If we don't know where to send you, we know somebody that knows where to send you. Right. So just come here. And like I said, if I don't know, I know somebody who knows somebody that knows somebody. That will
Exactly.
get you to somebody. So thank you once again, Scott. And like I said, this is the S2 show, that Scott and Scott show. Thank you, and see everybody next time. Take care. Peace.